Hi, I'm Grayson. Today was supposed to be the worst day of my life, burying my wife Sarah after watching cancer eat away at her for 18 months. But somehow it got worse. I pulled into my parents' driveway exhausted from the funeral. My black tie felt like it was choking me, and all I wanted was to collapse in bed. I'd been staying with them for the past 6 months after selling our apartment to pay for Sarah's treatments. Not ideal at 32, but they'd insisted they wanted to help. My key wouldn't turn in the lock. I tried again, jiggling it harder, thinking maybe it was stuck. It won't work, Grayson. I turned to see my mom, Diana, standing in the doorway, arms crossed. My dad, Richard, appeared behind her, looking everywhere but at me. What do you mean it won't work? We changed the locks this morning. I stood there, still holding my useless key. You changed the locks? Today? While I was burying my wife? Don't be dramatic. We've been meaning to do it for weeks. Why would you change the locks without telling me? Richard finally spoke up. Olivia needs your room. Olivia, my sister, hasn't lived here in years. She's moving back next week. She and Jake broke up and she needs a fresh start. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. My wife just died. I've nowhere else to go right now. Diana sighed like I was being difficult. Olivia's going through a terrible breakup. She deserves the room more. Deserves it more than a widower? Are you serious? You're a grown man, Grayson. Figure it out. My clothes, Sarah's things, they're all inside. We packed your stuff. Richard pointed to 3 garbage bags on the porch. Everything's there. I opened one bag to find my clothes jumbled together, some still on hangers. The second had my toiletries thrown in with books and electronics. The third had Sarah's memory box, the one thing I'd kept after selling everything else to pay for her treatments. Where's Sarah's blue sweater? And her jewelry box? Diana waved dismissively. Olivia took a few things. Sarah won't need them anymore. Something snapped inside me. She took my dead wife's things without asking? Don't raise your voice in this house. Olivia admired those pieces for years. My phone rang. It was Marcus checking on me after the funeral. Hey man, how are you holding up? Not great. My parents just kicked me out and my sister took Sarah's things. What, are you serious? Where are you going to stay? I have no idea. Come to my place. I've got the spare room. After hanging up, I turned back to my parents. I'll get my stuff and go. That's probably best, Richard said, already closing the door. As I loaded the garbage bags into my car, I thought about the past 30 years. Olivia's dance recitals they never missed, while my baseball games went unattended. Her college fully paid for, while I worked 2 jobs. Her wedding was a lavish affair. They skipped mine entirely. Driving to Marcus's apartment, something changed inside me. The grief and shock were still there, but now something else burned alongside them. I was done being the forgotten child, the one who always understood, always gave in. They thought Sarah's death was the end of something. They were right, but not in the way they thought. Marcus helped me bring the garbage bags into his apartment. I collapsed on his couch, too numb to even cry. I can't believe they did this to you on the day of Sarah's funeral. You don't know the half of it. Olivia took Sarah's things. As we sorted through my belongings, I found Sarah's memory box with a bank statement that hadn't been there before. What the hell? Someone withdrew $5,000 from our joint account when Sarah was in the hospital. Marcus leaned closer. Didn't you give Olivia access for emergencies? I checked my banking app and found more withdrawals, nearly $15,000 total. She was stealing from us while Sarah was dying, money meant for treatments. My phone rang. It was Elena, Sarah's sister. I didn't want to tell you right after losing Sarah, but I overheard your family in the hospital waiting room. Your mom called Sarah a burden, said she was dragging you down financially. Olivia complained about how much attention you were giving Sarah instead of her relationship problems. Elena, there's more. Olivia stole money from our account. You should come over. Sarah left something with me for safekeeping. The next day, Elena showed me a small lockbox. Inside was a USB drive and a letter. She said to give this to you if anything happened. She was worried about your family. The USB contained recordings from Sarah's hospital room. You should be convincing Grayson to stop these expensive treatments. They're not working anyway. Diana's voice was unmistakable. Have you updated your will yet? Olivia asked in another recording. You should leave your jewelry to me. Grayson won't appreciate it. I immediately called Mr. Thompson, Sarah's attorney. I was about to call you. Your parents contacted me yesterday. They're planning to contest Sarah's will. On what grounds? They're claiming she wasn't of sound mind and that you coerced her. That's insane. She was completely lucid until the final days. I suspected it was baseless. Now I understand why they locked you out. They're searching for evidence. I placed the USB drive on his desk. I have evidence of my own. Sarah knew they might try something. After listening to a few recordings, Mr. Thompson looked grim. This changes everything, but be careful, Grayson. If they're willing to go this far, who knows what else they might do. I've been passive my whole life with my family, not anymore. I'm going to document everything and make sure they never hurt anyone again. As I left his office, I felt a strange calm. For the first time since Sarah died, I had purpose. My grief was still there, but now it had a direction. Over the next week, I developed my strategy. Marcus was skeptical when I called my parents. You're actually reaching out to them? After what they did? Trust me, I know what I'm doing. I made sure to sound broken when Diana answered. Mom, I'm sorry about the other day. I was emotional after the funeral. Well, I'm glad you've come to your senses. Your behavior was inappropriate. I was wondering if I could come by to pick up any remaining items. Maybe talk about Sarah's will situation. When I arrived at my parents' house, I looked deliberately disheveled, unshaven, wrinkled clothes. My phone recorded in my pocket. Olivia was wearing Sarah's diamond earrings. I forced a weak smile. You need to pull yourself together, Grayson. It's embarrassing. I slumped into a chair. Money's tight now. Those medical bills wiped me out. You shouldn't have wasted so much on treatments that weren't working anyway. I know you helped with the accounts. Did you notice any unusual withdrawals? Olivia tensed. Oh, I took some money. You weren't using it effectively. I needed it for my business venture. You took money from Sarah's treatment fund? Don't be so dramatic. She was dying anyway. I wanted to explode, but instead sighed deeply. I guess you're right. Later, Elena called in a panic. Olivia just sent me threatening messages. She told me to keep my mouth shut about what I heard at the hospital. Forward them to me. This is perfect for my plan. I called my parents that evening. We should have a family dinner to reconcile. Maybe invite Uncle Jack and Aunt Meredith too? Diana sounded pleased. That's wonderful. How about Sunday? Perfect. I'll even cook Sarah's famous lasagna. I spent the next days gathering evidence. Marcus helped set up recording devices. You sure about this? Once you do this, there's no going back. They crossed the line when they stole from Sarah while she was dying. At Sunday's dinner, I deliberately mentioned Sarah's jewelry. I noticed her sapphire necklace is missing, the one from her grandmother. Olivia touched her neck defensively. She wanted me to have it. That's odd, since it's specifically mentioned in her will as going to Elena. Well, she told me differently. Besides, that will isn't valid. You seem very confident about that, Liv. We've already discussed this with lawyers, Richard said smugly. It's just a matter of time. I nodded, appearing crushed. I guess I never stood a chance against you guys. As I left, Diana hugged me. I'm glad you finally accepted how things are, Grayson. I smiled weakly. Yeah, I've definitely learned my place. 2 weeks later, my parents hosted their annual summer barbecue, the perfect stage for my plan. I arrived early to help set up, playing the role of the submissive son they'd always wanted. Thanks for coming early, Grayson, Richard said, slapping my back. Olivia's bringing her new boyfriend. Great, can't wait to meet him. Uncle Jack and Aunt Meredith arrived with their kids, followed by my parents' business partners and friends. Nearly 30 people milled around the backyard. Olivia strutted in wearing Sarah's sapphire necklace, dragging along some guy named Brendan. During dinner, I stood up, tapping my glass. I'd like to make a toast. This isn't really the time, Diana tried to interject. Actually, it's the perfect time. I want everyone to see the true face of this family. Richard stood up. Grayson, sit down. You're making a scene. A scene? Like the one you made when you changed the locks while I was burying my wife? Or when Olivia stole $15,000 meant for Sarah's cancer treatments? The table went silent. He's obviously still grieving, Diana laughed nervously, saying crazy things. I pulled out my laptop. I have bank statements showing withdrawals made by Olivia during Sarah's final months. I have recordings of you all discussing how to contest her will before she was even cold in her grave. You recorded us? Olivia shrieked. That's illegal. Not in this state, especially when you're discussing criminal activity. I played the recording of Olivia admitting to taking the money for her business venture. Then the one of my parents discussing contesting the will. Finally, I showed the threatening messages Olivia sent to Elena. You threatened Sarah's sister to keep her quiet about what she overheard in the hospital, Aunt Meredith gasped. What did she overhear? Them calling my dying wife a burden? Complaining that I was spending too much time with her instead of helping Olivia with her relationship problems? That's a lie, Olivia screamed, lunging across the table at me. She grabbed a steak knife and swung it wildly. Marcus, who'd been waiting for his cue, stepped in and restrained her until the police arrived. Uncle Jack stood up, disgust on his face. "We're leaving, Richard. Don't bother calling the firm on Monday. Our partnership is over." One by one, the guests left. Olivia was taken away in handcuffs for assault and the pending theft charges. Mr. Thompson stepped forward. I'd invited him as backup. "I filed the paperwork regarding the will contestation. Your false claims constitute legal fraud, which I've reported to the state bar." Within a month, Richard's business collapsed as partners pulled out. Diana's social circle evaporated. Olivia faced charges for theft and assault. 6 months later, I stood at Sarah's grave with Elena and Marcus. "The house sold yesterday," I told her headstone. "I'm using half the money to fund a cancer treatment grant in your name. The other half is going toward my new life." "Sarah would be proud," Elena said, placing flowers. "You finally stood up for yourself, man," Marcus added. "I learned from Sarah. She never let anyone walk over her, and now neither will I." As we walked away, I felt lighter than I had in years. The anger was gone. The grief would always remain, but now there was room for something else. Peace. Was Grayson right to expose his family so publicly, or should family problems always stay private? Would you have forgiven your parents and sister if they apologized? Or do some betrayals go beyond the possibility of reconciliation? At what point does blood relation no longer entitle someone to your loyalty? If this story of family betrayal and sweet revenge resonated with you, hit that like button and share your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one and love hearing your perspectives. Subscribe for more compelling stories that explore the darker side of family dynamics, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Thanks for watching.